Good morning, friends. This is Dr. Yuvaraj Vyas, Institute of Management, MBA Department, Kadi. And today I am going to discuss with you about how to communicate good news and how to communicate natural situations, as you could see on your slide. Yesterday we began the session and we could discuss two things. One thing is about what do we mean by good news? What do we mean by bad news? And what do we mean by neutral messages? We also talked about two broad strategies of communicating messages to our readers. Strategy number one is directness in communication, and strategy number two is indirectness in communication. In the previous sessions, we talked about how to communicate bad news, and as you all know, that bad news can more effectively be communicated in an indirect manner. Today, our focus, yesterday we talked about two beginning slides and we were to take an example of how shall we communicate. Yes, uh, we faced a problem of failure of connection yesterday while we were discussing this slide. So I'm continuing from where we left it at yesterday. How shall we communicate routine inquiries when we want to buy something from our customers, we want to buy something from our suppliers, when we inquire about purchase, when we want to place order, when we want to give business to the reader, in all this kind of simple and routine inquiries, how shall we proceed? In front of your slide, in front of you, is a slide in which basically in a message, in a letter, in an email, we write opening paragraph, we write body, we write closing. How shall we do it? In the opening, we will begin directly with the objective. What exactly do we want? In the body, we will include any necessary explanation wherever it fits as a separate part of the message or work in with the question. Suppose we want to know and get information from our reader, and this piece of information can be in different numbers. Say, for example, we want four pieces of information, or maybe five things we want to know. We are inquiring about seven things. So, whatever we are doing, as it is there in the strategy, in plan, if a number of questions are involved, give them structure. May number them, you can make them stand out. And in closing, you will be ending with goodwill words, positive words, and the words that end the message in a mutually agreeable, acceptable, and it creates a good feeling. Let us begin by taking an example. It's a bad example. We will understand bad example also. We will understand good example also. So that we can differentiate what we have to do and what we are not supposed to. It's an inquiry letter. It's a routine letter. Let us understand this later. Dear Mr. Kripasi, as you will recall, you recently returned merchandise to us. We at Hobsons sincerely hope that this transaction was satisfactory. In fact, we are in the process of making changes which will ensure that such transactions are favorably handled. Thus, we would like the answers for some questions about your experiences returning merchandise to us. This is an opening paragraph wherein there is something related to returning goods. There is also something related to that company wants to ensure that all its customers are having satisfaction regarding the process. This is the opening paragraph. Let us go to the body of the letter. We would like to know whether you were served promptly and courteously, and whether the adjustment was satisfactory and in accordance with your wishes. Also, we would like to know whether the salesperson offered assistance to you in selecting other merchandise. So there are a few things included in this paragraph. One thing is about company wants to know whether the customer was served promptly, courteously, and adjustment was satisfactory and as per the requirements of the customer. It is also included in the second sentence of this paragraph that they also would like to know how the salespeople help them in selecting merchandise. So there are two, three, four things. Customer, I mean, the company wants to know from its customer, but there is no sequence, there is no technology, there is no clarity, the body of the list. Let us go to the ending part. You may just write your comments on this letter and return it in the enclosed addressed and stamped envelope. Thanking you in advance for your cooperation. I remain sincerely yours. In the ending part, as you could see that the expectation is customer is supposed to give the feedback or right opinion in the letter, and it has to be stamped and addressed. Uh, sorry, the company has already provided stamped and addressed envelope in which customer has to give his opinion about this letter and then put the letter in the envelope which the company has already provided, and that's it. And the company or the communicator is thanking the reader, uh, closing the letter. So if we analyze this later as it is given the heading, it's a bad example. In the opening itself, there is no clarity. It doesn't begin with the objective, doesn't say what is expected, doesn't say why this letter is written. It is written, but it is very descriptive, very narrative. It is not concrete, it is not specific, and it is not accurate. In the second also, there are number of things are required by the writer, but there is no chronology in which format, how the response should be given, in what chronology, make the reader miss some of the things that are expected. By writing this later, by writing this later, you wish to get a written later and you want some information, but body of the letter does not clarify, does not set the chronology, does not give any concrete format in which the customer or the reader has to report. In the closing part also, it says that we have given you an envelope, we have addressed it, we have posted a stamp, then write your comment and send this letter to us. It is ending by thinking it's a very common way of doing the things or writing the closing part of the paragraph, closing part paragraph of the letter, but it is not appealing and different. Let us take the example which is good. Remember that when I told you yesterday what is the basic difference between direct strategy of writing a letter, indirect strategy of writing. The very basic difference between the two is routine, I mean direct strategy of writing letter is normally comparatively short. When we are writing the letter in an indirect manner, the length of the letter is decreased. Now let us understand the example that was a bad example. How effectively if we can write make same context, make the same content appear to the reader very lucid, easy to read. Dear Mr. Criffsey, will you please help us to serve you better by answering the following questions? Very simple. Direct strategy, you begin with the objective, begin with the appropriate question. Beginning of the letter, introducing paragraph, simply is single sentence. begins with, will you please help us serve you better by answering the following question. हम आपको अच्छी सर्विस देना चाहते हैं, अच्छे तरीके से सर्व करना चाहते हैं, इसलिए आप हमें क्या नीचे दिए गए क्वेश्चंस के आंसर आप दे सकते हैं। ऐसे करके बिगिन किया है। कोई नो नॉनसेंस, नो डिस्क्रिप्शन, नो नरेशन एंड absolutely to the point. Let us go to the question. Question number 1 is, when you return merchandise at our store, this says. This is regarding merchandise return experience. As a company, you want following answers of the following question. See, you could see that number. Questions are, there are 3 questions and the questions are numbered. Question number 1. Were you solved promptly and courteously? First. Second, was the adjustment satisfactory and in accordance with your wishes? Third, did the salesperson offer to assist you in selecting other merchandise? So now the reader has very clear understanding. He or she is required to answer these 3 questions. This could be further made more specific. Make more specific. How? The second question includes 2 things, and the first question also includes 2 things. You can take a first question. Were you served promptly? Yes or no? Second question. Was the service? What the? Did you find the people who responded to you courteous? Yes or no? Second question includes 2 things: satisfaction and as per the requirement or as requested by the customer. This can also be divided into 2 different questions. So instead of 3, you can make 5 questions. But this is more precise, more appropriate, and easy to respond. By reading these 3 questions, the reader will easily understand he or she has to answer or is required to answer, and it has been numbered also. So while customer is writing his or her answer, he or she can use number 1, answer of number 1 question, answer of 2 questions, answer of 2 questions. So whatever information you require as a company or as a communicator, you are more likely to get it. Now let us read the progress of the letter or the closing part of it. Please write, and it is described, it is written in detail what other things are required apart from this question. Please write your answer and any other comments you may wish to make about the service of the store and any other option store on this list. Apart from this question, any additional information you wish to write to us, you can mention it on this page. Then return it in the enclosed stamp and addressed envelope. What action is expected? See, these are the questions, and this action is expected from the reader. At the end, we shall be most grateful for your thanking you in advance is old-fashioned, and this is more appealing, this is more personal, and this is more showing the intensity of better service and customer satisfaction. We shall be most grateful for your sincerely yours. So now, by discussing, let me take you to the previous slide where we discussed the same content, same information towards bad example, and we also discussed good example. Now you must be very clear that bad example is a longer one, direct one, and it is narrative and descriptive, when even acts are required, when specifications are required, when chronology is required, it is not present. And if you find all these good points, good examples. Let us take one more example. I wish you take this example by yourself and you study this example. It is self-explanatory. If you do not understand, you can talk to me, you can write to me, and you can get your answer. Let us take this discussion. taking more exam. Now, let me give you a brief of this later, and I will take you to the response. How shall we write the response? It's not about you receive in front of your screen. There is a later there is an email, uh, and it is email about inquiry of one person who is supposed to be appointed as a. You can read the first line. Will you please assist me in evaluating Miss Alice Darren for work as a district sales manager with us? A company is hiring some person as a district sales manager, but before hiring, the company wants reference and recommendation of the organization where he was worked previously. So they have come up with specific questions in paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4. In paragraph 5, they have requested any additional information. What they have done, they have not simply written that kindly give your feedback and give us further details about so and so candidate. They have asked a specific questions. In this letter, when you will go through, you will understand that they have asked what will be, they have narrated what will be the responsibilities of the person who is appointed, what are the challenges, how difficult or how challenging the role is, and what are the specific requirements in, in accordance with this requirement. What is the opinion of the previous employer about this candidate? So they have asked a very specific question one by one to get clear, concrete, and specific information from this or from previous employer. Now, as a previous employer, I'm not discussing this inquiry letter because we have already discussed one inquiry letter. I will be discussing, you are giving a response to this letter, such an email where the current or the one of the employers has requested information about the previous employer. Now, if the information is useful, if the information is acceptable, if the information is going to help the existing or ongoing employment process, it's a good news. So how will you begin the good news? First and foremost, I'm right now talking the response of the inquiry about the candidate. If you were the previous employer, you are writing the referencing or you are writing about your experience and your judgment as a previous employer of the candidate who is being hired. We are discussing the response later. It begins like, let us go to that response later. You can see directness for a personnel evaluation is preferred. Let us begin this. As you could see, the subject line is confidential report on Miss Cindy Simmons requested July 2. Mr. Villas from December 1996 to November 2002. Miss Cummins worked for Central Grocery Incorporation under my direction. She left us for employment in her hometown. We would welcome her back. है ना? पहले पैराग्राफ में इंट्रोडक्शन पैराग्राफ में ये बता दिया कि कितने टाइम से कितने टाइम तक सिंडी सिमंस ने हमारे साथ काम किया था और अगर वो हमारे पास वापस आना चाहते हैं तो हम उन्हें वेलकम करेंगे. इसका सीधा साधा मतलब ये है कि आपने इंट्रोडक्शन पैराग्राफ में सिंडी सिमंस के बारे में एकदम पॉजिटिव मैसेज या रेफरेंस. While she was with us, she served first as a stock clerk, later as a checkout cashier, and for the last year as my assistant. So, in the introduction part, various profiles where she worked at been described. During this time, she learned all aspects of the grocery business. In my judgment, she has the experience and knowledge needed for job issues. पहले पैराग्राफ क्लियरली मेंशन किया है कि उसने कितने टाइम तक हमारे साथ काम किया, जब वो वापस आना चाहती है हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, खुशी खुशी उसको वापस वापस हायर कर लेंगे। और उसके टेन्योर के टाइम पे उसने अलग अलग तीन पोस्ट पे काम किया। और जब और उसने ये पूरे जो हमारे इंडस्ट्री को, हमारे बिजनेस को एकदम अच्छे तरीके से उसने समझ लिया था, सीख लिया। अगर मुझे जजमेंट लेना है उनके बारे में, मैं ऐसा बोलूँगा, मैं बोलूँगी कि ये जो कैंडिडेट, उसके पास एक्सपीरियंस भी है, उसके पास नॉलेज भी है, वो उसके लिए अभी आपके यहाँ अप्लाई किया है। So it's a crystal clear response to the survey. Let us see how further the response has been framed. The body of the letter, I start now explaining the body of. I feel also that Miss Commons has the personal qualities the job requires. She is mature, stable, and personable. She has strong convictions, expresses them firmly, sometimes at the expense of harmony with the work group. But she is also sincere, open-minded. As far as I know, her morals are exemplary. It's about her personal qualities as requested by the company. What are her personal qualities? So the response is she is sincere, stable, she has great conviction for her thought, she expresses herself very well, she is exemplary, she is honest. All these things have been discussed. Now, in the further paragraph, in the next paragraph of the body of the letter, the writer has written in more detail about the other points as required by the company. Answering your question about this promotes leadership ability is somewhat difficult for me. Difficult for her work with us was primarily a subordination or subordinate position. But from what I have observed, I feel that she has good leadership potential. She appears to like people who have a genuine concern for her, and she appears to have other characteristics: good leadership, sense of fairness, good communication ability, loyalty, dedication to. So, what the writer has responded, there was a question about Ms. Cummins will be appointed as district sales officer. Does she have leadership abilities? In response to this question, the writer has written, the company has written, our previous company has written that while she worked with us, she was always in a subordinate position. She was not working here as a leader, but from the experience and how the manager observed her, says that he has the potential to become a good leader. He has qualities required for good leadership, sense of fairness, good communication ability, loyalty, dedication to work. In the last paragraph, second last paragraph, in summary, I feel that Mr. Commons is well qualified for the work he seeks. एम्फोसाइज किया है वापस कि मैं एकदम फॉर्मली, एकदम क्लियरली आपको बताना चाहूँ कि दिस कमेंट्स is well qualified for physics. I would not hesitate to put her in a similar position in this company. अगर मेरी कंपनी similar position के लिए this commons इंटरव्यू के लिए आते हैं तो खुशी खुशी ऐड कर ले। ये एकदम परफेक्टली, प्रिसाइजली और पॉजिटिव मैसेज को एकदम कन्विक्शन के साथ प्रेजेंट किया। If I can help you further in your evaluation, Ms. Cummins, please write me again. ये एक तरीका या खाली थैंक यू बोल देते हैं, इसकी जगह पे आपने फर्दर हेल्प की जरूरत है, वो भी आपने आंसर में लिखा है। लास्ट क्लोजिंग में लिखा है कि अगर आपको और कोई हेल्प की भी जरूरत है, मैंने अभी जितने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछे थे वो सारे क्वेश्चन का आंसर आपको दे दिया, और कोई आपको हेल्प की जरूरत है इस कमेंट्स को इवेल्युएट करने की, तो भी आप मुझे कॉन्टेक्ट कर सकते हैं। दिस इज वेरी इफेक्टिव वे ऑफ रिप्लाइंग and because you are giving a favorable reply, be written in a direct form. So friends, today we have discussed about how to write a direct letter, how to write good message, and we have taken two different examples. About example number one is about the inquiry, example number two is your answer. So we end this session here. In the We have discussed about the directness, we have discussed about indirectness, we have discussed about good news, we have discussed about bad news, how to communicate them. We have taken two examples, each of them. I'm sure you, after going through a few examples are there, you can go through them. If you have any questions, you can write to me, you can call me, you can text me, email me, you can WhatsApp me, you can clear it. In the end, we have let us end this session with a question. You have to expect things of yourself before you can do that. कोई भी चीज अगर आप करना चाहते हो तो आप कर सकते हो, आपसे वो हो सकता है.